And joining me now from Clemson, South Carolina, is Republican Senator Lindsey Graham. Senator Graham, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jake. Good to be with you.
Now, you have said that if the Democrats use reconciliation to pass the fixes to the Senate bill, it will be catastrophic to attempts to have any sort of bipartisan cooperation. But you have voted for reconciliation in the past when Republicans were in the majority, the 2003 Bush tax cuts, more than $300 billion worth, and the Deficit Reduction Act of 2005, which slowed the growth of Medicare. Those votes seem to pass without catastrophe. So why has this changed?
Well, number one, they related to income and spending, and this is 1/6 of the economy about to be affected here. Under reconciliation, you can't make any changes to Social Security because Senator Byrd understood it was never meant to be used for a purpose like this. Senator Byrd said you couldn't pass President Clinton's health care plan through reconciliation. It was never meant, and you can repeal the Bush tax cuts if you don't like it. If they use this device called reconciliation to deal out Republicans, it will open up Pandora's box. And the interview I just heard is spin, campaigning. I thought the campaigning was over. Are you trying to tell me and the American people that Scott Brown got elected campaigning against a Washington bill that really is just like the Massachusetts bill? The American people are getting tired of this crap. No way in the world is what they did in Massachusetts like what we're about to do in Washington. We didn't cut Medicare. They didn't cut Medicare when they passed the bill in Massachusetts. They didn't raise $500 billion on the American people when they passed the bill in Massachusetts. To suggest that Scott Brown is basically campaigning against the bill in Washington as like the one in Massachusetts is complete spin. I've been in bipartisan deals. I was in the Gang of 14 to stop the Senate from blowing up when the Republicans wanted to change the rules and use a majority vote to get judges through. If they do this, it's going to poison the well for anything else they would like to achieve this year or thereafter.
I want to move on to a couple other topics because you've been involved as the White House's best friend among Senate Republicans in a lot of ways, working with Democrats and Independent Senator Joe Lieberman on energy and climate change legislation, on closing Guantanamo, and other matters. You met with President Obama on Thursday, in fact, to talk about immigration reform. After the meeting, President Obama said his commitment to the issue was unwavering, but he needs you to bring Republican votes. Can you bring Republican votes? And what's your take on his commitment being unwavering?
Well, I have worked with this administration to solve hard problems because I want to for the good of the people of the country and for the state of South Carolina. But this idea that the president's been unwavering on immigration doesn't really pass the smell test. One line in the State of the Union that was unnoticeable is not unwavering. A hastily called meeting Thursday because of a rally next weekend is not unwavering, is CYA. Unwavering is sending 2 cabinet members over to the House and the Senate 2 hours a day for 2 months with dozens of senators trying to write a bill. That's what President Bush did. President Obama has not been unwavering on immigration reform. He's pretty much ignored it because he's been consumed by health care. And there will be no way we'll be able to go to the Senate after you blow it up with risk-averse Democrats and Republicans upset to deal with something as important and controversial as immigration. Chuck Schumer has been a great partner. We're going to release a document soon about our way forward on immigration. He understands the politics and the substance, but this idea that this administration's been unwavering on immigration reform is just political spin, and the people at the rally ought to know that.
Well, the leader of the Republican charge, other than President Bush, for immigration reform last time was your dear friend Senator John McCain, who, as far as I can tell, is completely AWOL from the debate. I know he has a tough primary against a more conservative, arguably more conservative challenger there, but what's his commitment? It certainly doesn't look unwavering.
Well, to me, his commitment is what it's always been. He's done the heavy lifting on immigration. He's been fighting the health care bill that the country dislikes and Republicans can't tolerate. He's fought the stimulus package, and he's worked with the president on the F-22. Here's my advice to the administration. I will release a document with Senator Schumer about my views on how to fix immigration. The campaign is over, you told Senator McCain. President Obama lead. You write a health care immigration reform bill. You do the heavy lifting. You put together a comprehensive immigration reform package. You bring it to the Senate and House and see how many Democrat and Republican supporters you can get. All you've done is talk about what we should do. Now's the time to lead. Tell the people at the rally next weekend that your administration will write a comprehensive immigration reform bill. I will be glad to look at it. If I like it, I'll sign on. If I oppose it, I'll tell you where I disagree and see how many votes you can get.
To be fair, Senator Graham, the reason that immigration reform didn't pass last time, even with you, Senator McCain, and President Bush pushing for it, was because of the Republican Party. The Republican Party seems in no mood.
That's not fair.
That's
not fair
why
at
is that
all.
not fair?
That's not fair at all.
Even Republican members who were part of the coalition, even Republican members who were part of the coalition voted against it.
I can show you 10 Democrats in the Senate today who voted against immigration reform. Tester, Baucus, Bayh, Webb.
And how many
there
Republicans voted?
There are plenty of bipartisan.
I mean, it was dozens of Republicans.
There are a lot of us voted for it. We got over 60 votes at one time. It fell apart because the bill was attacked from the left and the right. Senator Obama was part of the deal to create the bill. He was in the photo op. When it got to the floor, he introduced an amendment to sunset the temporary worker bill, which was a temporary worker program, which was part of the overall deal. And as you remember, my views of him were not very good at that time. He undercut the grand bargain. There's plenty of blame to go around. If you want to look forward, you got to look forward with reality. If they jam through health care, through the House, and try to use a trick or a gimmick called reconciliation, which is playing with 12 people on the field if it were a football game, you're going to have a hard time convincing Democrats or Republicans to do the hard things because you poisoned the well. There will be a price to be paid to jam a bill through the American people don't like using a sleazy process.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, but let me ask you a question. You are, without question, trying to work across the aisle, trying to work with Democrats.
As hard as I can.
I don't see a lot of Republicans behind you. And in fact, if you look at the Republicans who have tried in the past to work in a bipartisan fashion, Florida Governor Charlie Crist, Utah Senator Bob Bennett, you, Senator John McCain, you're all under attack in your home states from conservatives. Why should any Republican follow your lead if they have an ounce of self-preservation?
Well, why should Blanche Lincoln try to work with us? Why should Joe Lieberman try to help President Bush? It's about leadership. There are people on the right and the left. Joe Lieberman got ran out of the Democratic Party trying to work with President Bush on the war. Blanche Lincoln has a political opponent because she was against the public option. That's the way it is. There are plenty of Republicans. Corker was trying to work with Dodd on financial regulation. The environment that exists today. President Obama promised to come to Washington and deliver change we can believe in. The way he's doing things, the way he's governing on this health care bill, this arrogance, ignoring the American people and trying to jam through a bill that nobody likes and deal out Republicans is going to make it virtually impossible for me or anyone else. I've been working with Lieberman and Kerry. We've come a long way on the climate energy issue. This is one issue where the president's been great. He's saying all the right things to give us a chance to become energy independent, clean up the air, and create jobs. But when it comes to health care, he's been tone deaf, he's been arrogant, and they're pushing a legislative proposal, and a way to do that legislative proposal is going to destroy the ability of this country to work together for a very long time, and that's not necessary. There's a better way. Get a field goal, Mr. President, on health care, then let's go to energy and climate, do financial regulation, and let's try to work together to reform our laws and close Gitmo.
Well, let's talk about Gitmo in the couple minutes we have left. You have proposed a deal to the White House that, in exchange for their canceling plans to try Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and other alleged 9/11 plotters in criminal civilian courts and instead put them in a military commission, you can help them close Guantanamo. But here's a quote from one of your colleagues, Republican Senator Jim Inhofe. He said, "Don't be fooled. If anyone tells you they do not want terrorist detainees in the United States, but they want to close Gitmo, they're being disingenuous. Closing Gitmo will result in terrorist detainees being sent to U.S. soil, gaining U.S. constitutional rights reserved for our citizens, and increasing risk of terrorist activity in this country." That is a not unpopular belief among Republican senators. What's your argument back to Senator Inhofe?
Well, there's plenty of Democrats who oppose closing Gitmo. My argument back to Senator Inhofe and to the American people is it's not just about Khalid Sheikh Mohammed coming back into military court. It was a major misstep to put him in civilian court in New York. It made no sense. We need laws on the books that will allow terrorist detainees to be held without trial, give them due process, treat them as any prisoners, not common criminals. We need laws on the books that if a judge orders one of these terrorists released, they won't be released in the United States. We need legal framework to move forward on the war on terror that will keep us safe. And if we get that legal framework, closing Gitmo could be done safely. General Petraeus, our commanders in the field, tell us that this jail called Gitmo is an image being used against our troops in the field. It hurts our ability to win the war, and our allies will not turn over prisoners to us thinking they may go to Gitmo. But it's just not about KSM coming back into military court. It's about a legal framework that will allow us to assure the American people these detainees are going to be looked at as warriors, not common criminals. But back to my basic idea, President Bush said it would be good to close Gitmo. President Obama is on the right track if we do it smartly and safely. And most importantly, our commanders tell us this jail is not being fully utilized. We don't have a place to put prisoners captured in the war on terror. I'd like to create a place that is safe and secure and lives within our values. This is complicated. I would look forward to working with the President to create this legal framework, but I want to win this war, and closing this jail safely could help us win this war. But if we're going to dump people into civilian court out of this jail, it'd be better to keep it open. I look forward to arguing with anybody on the other side about the benefits of closing it if you can do it safely. But it's going to take teamwork, it's going to take working together, and it's going to take listening to our commanders.
Very quick yes or no question. Keeping Guantanamo Bay open, you've said it is a recruiting tool for Al-Qaeda. Does keeping Guantanamo
Yes.
open put U.S. lives at risk, yes or no?
It depends on how you close it. I can't give an yes or no. If you do what they're doing, closing it, we're less safe. If you close it smartly, we're more safe. And our allies won't turn prisoners over to us because they don't want anyone in that jail. There's a better way to start over with a secure facility within our values that allows us to get better intelligence and fight this war. This is a big issue, shouldn't be partisan. Young men and women's lives are at risk in this war on terror. Let's stop arguing among ourselves about everything and focus on the one thing we should all agree on. Come up with policy that allows this country to be safe. Closing Gitmo safely is the right way to go.
Senator Lindsey Graham, thank you so much for joining us today.